After one of the most chaotic weeks in college football history and with 4 days until the all-important Red River rivalry, the excitement is only ramping up. Plus, the wildcard matchups have come and gone and the division series are underway in the MLB Postseason. The NHL regular season has begun as the Florida Panthers begin their quest to defend their championship, and the long-awaited October 12th is just around the corner with multiple Game of the Year candidates in tow. All this and more tonight on College Press Box. Good evening and welcome to College Press Box. I'm Tyler Strempel, hosting alongside Perla Paredes tonight. But before we start tonight's jam-packed episode, we want to remind you that College Press Box is brought to you by Cat Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between. Plan your ride to this weekend's game at catmetro.org. Texas football, after a bye week, sits at 5-0, and after dropping to number 2 in the nation due to a stunning primetime matchup between Alabama and Georgia, the Longhorns find themselves back at number 1 heading into Dallas thanks to one of the biggest upsets in college football history as Vanderbilt knocked off the Tide in Nashville. Let's send it over to Perla.
Thanks, Tyler. Time of the year for the best rivalry in college football. The Red River Showdown is in Dallas. I'm not joined beside Zach Davis to give us his perspective on the 2024 edition. Zach, how are you doing?
I'm excited, being at the University of Texas with the game next week. It's a game everyone looks forward to at this university. Excited to go. Excited to talk about it here at TSTV.
Okay, let's get right into it. Okay. So the Red River rivalry, the first time ever it will be played for the SEC. What is the stake for both of these schools next Saturday, in your opinion?
Well, you said it best, Perla. The Red River Showdown will be making its debut in the SEC, and a lot is at stake for both of these programs. For one, there is only one undefeated SEC school, Perla, and that is the Texas Longhorns. Now, number 1 in the AP poll, once again, Texas is coming off the bye week, watching all the other SEC undefeated schools fall. Texas has a unique opportunity to show the college football world that they deserve the number 1 and that it was not just handed to them. The Longhorn schedule is also not the most difficult after this Oklahoma game. Besides Georgia, the only ranked opponent on their schedule is number 15 Texas A&M, but that one is in College Station. But nothing is guaranteed in the SEC. If Texas can beat Oklahoma on Saturday in the Cotton Bowl, the path for them to the college football playoff almost seems evident. Now, on the flip side, Oklahoma is hanging on to a thread as a one-loss SEC team with a riveting schedule ahead, which includes Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri, Alabama, and LSU. If Oklahoma is looking for the playoffs, they must at least win 4 of those 5 games to be guaranteed in. Oklahoma is rolling with a new quarterback in the past week and a half in freshman Michael Hawkins, and I'm excited personally to see how the young Sooner performs on what I argue is college football's biggest stage.
Thank you. Okay, so now with Ewers being back after going down with the injury 3 weeks ago, but now he's expected to start against the Sooners in the Cotton Bowl this weekend. Should we expect the old Quinn or something else?
It's a great question you raised once again. Coming back just in time for the Cotton Bowl against Oklahoma, Quinn Ewers, huge boost for the Texas Longhorns. Ewers is a tough, competitive guy, and the Texas offense is loaded with weapons. Expect the coaches to ease him back into the game with a balanced attack, a heavy dose of the run game, and short, quick passes to keep the pressure off of him early on. If Texas can keep Ewers upright and he can get into a rhythm, we can start to see flashes of the old Quinn who was tearing it up and down before he went down. The big unknown is how well he'll handle contact, Perla. If the Sooners defense can get to him early, it could affect his confidence or force other mistakes. On the other hand, if he settles in quickly, Ewers could very well pick up right where he left off. Don't expect perfection immediately. It may take a few drives or even a quarter to really get him back into a groove. Ewers is not new to this game, with it being his 3rd, but he did dominate in his freshman year, helping lead Texas to a 49-0 win, but last year he did lose. It was Texas's only loss until Washington in the college football semifinals, and I know it stung both Sark and Ewers. Now, with ample time to heal, expect Ewers to take off in this game.
Okay. Well, finally, Zach, what is your score prediction for this game, and why do you think so?
It seems like, Perla, once you factor in all the data, all the stats, you would think this game would be somewhat of a blowout.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Red River rivalry. Vegas thinks so too. The Horns are a 2-touchdown line. But like I said, we're going to Dallas. Expect nothing in this game. Isn't that what it's known for? I think Texas will find a way to win this game once the clock hits triple zeros. But it'll be much closer than what people think. With Ewers coming back and with Oklahoma starting a freshman quarterback for the second time, I think Texas wins 45-42. But the Red River rivalry is notorious for defying expectations, no matter what the spread of the stats say. This game has a history of wild moments, crazy swings in momentum, and unexpected heroes. Even when one team looks like a clear favorite on paper, the emotion and intensity of this rivalry can flip the script in an instant. It's the kind of matchup where you can throw all the numbers out the window. Don't expect a blowout. These games tend to come down to the wire with dramatic finishes that have everyone on the edge of their seats. But Texas might be the more complete team, but Oklahoma is not going to go down quietly. I can see the Longhorns winning, but it'll be a battle all the way to the final whistle. No matter what Vegas might say, don't expect the expected at the Battle of the Red River. Well, we certainly can't wait for Saturday's 11 a.m. Classic, can we?
No, we cannot. I feel like we all know what we're doing on Saturday for that game. Well, but thank you again for your analysis, Zach, and make sure to follow our TSTV sports coverage on the big game on Saturday with Devin Serta, Justin Guzman, and Campbell Choate. I'll send it back to you at the desk, Tyler.
Thank you, Perla. When we come back to College Press Box, the postseason is scorching with some of the best games from baseball's brightest stars. Grabiel Silva joins the show when we come back on College Press Box.
Welcome back to College Press Box. The MLB postseason is back, and there has already been some shocking eliminations, while the best is yet to come for the remaining teams. Let's turn over to Tyler.
Thanks, Perla. I'm here alongside one of our resident baseball analysts, Grabiel Silva. Thank you for joining the show again, Grabiel.
I'm happy to be back. Postseason baseball is already, well on its way.
Yeah, one of the most enticing scenes in sports. And now we're well underway into October after a slate of up and down wildcard series where chaos reigned in a wildcard format that is currently being hotly debated among baseball fans. In your opinion, what teams or players have been surprising to you over the past week or so? And has the wildcard series expansion been a worthwhile addition to the postseason?
Yeah, well, for me, the most surprising player has been Fernando Tatis Jr. He is currently hitting at a .643 batting average and has an OPS of 2.151, which is absolutely insane if you're unfamiliar with those stats. He has been the MVP for the Padres, and he has definitely stepped up to the plate for the postseason. Another player that has performed well is Tarek Skubal. He was dominant in Game 1 against the Houston Astros, as we both know, and has been dominant against the Guardians today with another solid performance going 7 innings and having 8 strikeouts. He has been touted as the AL Cy Young winner, and he has carried that regular season momentum into the playoffs. And there isn't much more that the Tigers could have asked from him. Now, for the disappointing side, obviously the Houston Astros not making it past the wild card round was a shocker. But after a long and grueling season, you gotta wonder if they ran out of gas when it mattered the most. Another disappointment has been Mookie Betts. He has consistently been touted as someone who is dangerous in the postseason. Well, he doesn't have Apple Watches or a pandemic to help him out anymore. He is currently on an 0 for 23 streak in the postseason dating back to last year, and his last postseason hit was in 2022. We have heard all year long that the Dodgers have 3 MVPs in the lineup, but we haven't seen much from them outside of Ohtani's Game 1 home run. Betts is hitless again, and Freddie Freeman is probably on so much medication he doesn't remember where he's at times, after he rolled his ankle a few days ago. Now for the wild card question. I think that it's been kind of meh since it expanded to a series. Almost every series has ended up a sweep, and it would have just been better off as a one-game matchup like it was years prior. Also, I do not see the reasoning for why a division winner would not be guaranteed to go to the divisional round either. Kind of hurts teams who are unable to have the best records but still win their division. As we saw this year, the division winners were eliminated in the wild card round by teams who were on a hot streak. I think that the wild card needs a few tweaks, but it can work out perfectly. But it was better before than it is now.
Yeah, you see a lot of sports leagues adding in new things to postseason formats. It's going to be hit or miss, but it's kind of fun to see these hot streak teams make a run for it. Now that we're midway into the division series, the AL Central has been surprising division all year, and now all 3 teams that made the postseason from the division are in the division series. Who do you expect to be the last team standing from the AL Central?
Well, there is guaranteed to be one AL Central team in the championship series. Right now, the Guardians were leading the series, but Tarek School will pitch today for the Tigers. He did really well yet again, and the series now is tied at 1-1. And we'll see how the series will look after Scooble's excellent performance, and he could potentially start a Game 5. So we'll see how that goes. I also believe that the Royals can upset the Yankees as well. They were a phantom safe call away from being tied with the Yankees in the late innings instead of having to play from behind in the later innings as well. The strongest team, in my opinion, is the Cleveland Guardians. They have a great lineup that can mash the ball around the ballpark or just spray it around and get guys on base. They blanked the Tigers in Game 1, 7-0. The bullpen for the Guardians is one of their stronger suits, led by closer Emmanuel Clase, who just blew the lead in Game 2. All in all, I believe that it is still kind of early to tell who will be the last team standing because anything can happen in October, but it will be exciting to see it play out.
Emmanuel Clase burning that save is just one of those examples of anything can happen in October, and it's so fun to see. And now, after Wildcard Series, midway into the Division Series, how have your predictions for October changed since you were last on the show? And who do you think currently has the best momentum to take home the Commissioner's Trophy at the end of the month?
Well, the last time I was on the show, I said the American League will run through Houston, and, well, that aged quite well. The American League is as wide open as it ever has been, with the Yankees and then 3 AL Central teams like we mentioned earlier. The AL Central has been the weakest link of the American League for many years now, but now they make up 3/4 of the final team standing in the American League. In my opinion, if the Yankees do not break through and make the World Series, it would be an utter failure. This is the easiest possible path they could have in front of them, and not making it would raise a lot of questions in the Bronx. I believe that the AL is wide open depending on who makes it out of the division series, so I cannot definitively make a prediction without seeing how the rest of the series go. In the National League, it's a bloodbath. There's global tensions going on everywhere, but I think the tensions between these 2 series might be higher than that. The all-divisional matchups between the Mets and Phillies and the Padres and Dodgers are both all tied up at 1 game apiece, with the series heading back to New York and San Diego, respectively. The Mets and the Padres both find themselves with a good chance to pull off major upsets and advance to the championship series. The Mets have to be feeling good after leaving the hardest and loudest place to play in October, tied 1-1. They go back to New York with a chance to win it at home and not have to go back to Philly or face potential NL Cy Young winner Zach Wheeler. As for a winner, I believe that the Padres will advance to the World Series and potentially win it all. They just blew out the Dodgers in Game 2 and were close to pulling off the upset in Game 1. I believe that they will have just enough to finish a series in 4 games and upset the billion-dollar Dodgers and win the World Series.
Thank you for that analysis, Grabiel. What an amazing month, what an exciting month, and anything can happen, and it's really going to be cool to see how it plays out. And with that, I'll pitch it back to you at the desk, Perla.
Thank you, Tyler. Well, it's going to be a fun ride to see what will happen in the rest of this already chaotic MLB postseason. Thanks, Gabriel. Also, when we come back on College Press Box, the puck for the 2024 NHL season has officially dropped. TJ Krilowicz returns to enlighten us on what to expect this season. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to College Press Box. The NHL season is officially underway as the Florida Panthers are reigning Stanley Cup champions, looking to defend their first championship in franchise history, and there is plenty to be excited about on the ice. Let's go to our very own TJ Krilowicz for more.
Thank you so much to you and Joe for letting me come on and talk about a sport that 99% of people in TSTV don't acknowledge until the championship series, better known as the Stanley Cup Finals. Last year's NHL season was filled with loads of excitement, and then with the two best words in all of sports, a Game 7, or in my opinion, an Oilers loss. Both can be applied here because the Florida Panthers finally etched their name in the Stanley Cup immortality, becoming the 22nd out of the 32 teams to hoist Lord Stanley, beating the Edmonton Oilers 2-1 in a Game 7. But that is all in the past now. The other 31 teams have been working all offseason to be the next team to win it all. So let's look into who I think will win each division and who will come out on top of the East and West. Now, starting off with the Eastern Conference, it's been dominated by the Florida teams these past seasons. The Panthers and Lightning have won the East a whopping 5 years in a row, and the Sunshine State is where I'll start it off today. To everyone's surprise, yes, the defending champ Florida Panthers should win the Atlantic Division once again. Their defense took a bit of a hit in the offseason with both veterans Brendan Montour and Oliver Ekman-Larsson leaving, but their depth is still there with players like Gustav Forsling and Aaron Ekblad. Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Reinhart are just as best as an offensive duo as you can get, and Sergei Bobrovsky had another superhuman postseason last year. The Florida Panthers, they're still super dangerous, and they should be the favorites. The Atlantic Division, in my opinion, might be the weakest division. Teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins are really the only other two teams I see competing with Florida. Both have more obvious flaws than them, though, with Toronto's goaltending and Boston's offense. But both have been widely successful in the regular season these past few years. Now, moving on to the Metropolitan Division, the New York Rangers are the strongest team. Their aggressive offense combined with their top-line speed gives the Rangers one of the most intimidating matchups if their MVP caliber player Artemi Panarin is healthy, they should be competing for the President's Cup. The Rangers had 6 different players reach the 25-goal plateau last year, and all of them will be returning. The depth will once again be the question mark for New York. For the other teams in the metropolitan area, the New Jersey Devils, if they decide to stop being hurt so much, they can make a run against their next-door neighbors. And don't forget about the Carolina Hurricanes, who I expect to continue their regular season success like they have for the past years. Now, I'm going to move on to the Western Conference. Last year, many teams like the Vancouver Canucks and Winnipeg Jets made huge improvements in the standings. But the team that won the West last year is the team I think still wins the Central Division this year again. The Dallas Stars will never not look loaded on paper. The question is, are the Stars ever going to line for them in the postseason? The freshman duo of Maverick Bourque and potential Calder winner Logan Stankoven will give Dallas a new spark in their offense. White Johnson is still young, and their top-level depth almost all return this offseason like Matt Duchene. The defense is a question mark, but the Stars are battle-tested and can beat anyone in the league. It's still going to be a dogfight in the Central, however. The Colorado Avalanche and last year's MVP Nathan MacKinnon are breathing down Dallas's neck. Their problem is that some of their players just can't ever get healthy, both physically and mentally. If players like Gabriel Landeskog and Valerie Nichushkin can get back on the ice without any issues, Colorado poses an extreme threat. The Winnipeg Jets, led by Rick Bowness and their goalie Connor Hellebuck, can also easily win this division, and the Nashville Predators, who side just about anybody they could, now has a team that can join the race for the division. With Jonathan Marchessault and Steve Stamkos joining the Preds, now they have 3 players that scored 40-plus goals last year. The Central Division will be once again a bloodbath. But the Pacific Division won't be that much easier either. The Vancouver Canucks are looking to make another run with Quinn Hughes and JT Miller, and the Vegas Knights, who had to put their championship hopes on LTIR last season, have good depth and a great coach in Bruce Cassidy. But the Edmonton Oilers, after hiring coach Chris Knoblauch last year, have looked like a complete team. The West is going to run through Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And don't forget about Zach Hyman either, who scored 54 goals last year. The Oilers have the most intimidating top lines in all of hockey. Surprisingly, their defense is what got them to the Cup Finals last year, however. But with that being said, both conferences won't be easy to get to the top, as always. It's going to take a lot of skill and also a lot of luck to win these divisions and ultimately be the last in their conference. Last year, I said at the start of the year that it would be the Maple Leafs and Avalanche in the Stanley Cup Finals. And man, was I wrong. This is a tough prediction to make. The parity within the NHL is much stronger than the NFL or the NBA to name some examples. In the East, I think the team that comes out on top will be the New York Rangers. I like Igor Sherskin in the net, and I like their offense. Their ability to consistently win tight games last year makes me feel confident the Rangers can beat Florida this year, with the Panthers losing some depth pieces. The Rangers last year, they were 4th on the power play and 3rd in the penalty kill. Any team that is top 5 in both special teams will be extremely hard to stop, especially in the postseason. I think the West comes down to the Stars and Oilers again. The Oilers have dominated the head-to-head against Dallas in both regular season and the playoffs in the past, but both teams are really in the mindset of title or bust at this point. I think Edmonton does have the edge, however. The Stars' inexperience and Jake Ottinger being inconsistent is why I'm going to pick Edmonton to go to the Stanley Cup Finals again. Goaltender Stuart Skinner has just been more reliable, and he's kept the Oilers in throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs last year. The Stars need to be more physical if they want to be Edmonton this year, but ultimately, I'm going to say the Oilers win the West. But just like the East, the Oilers are much better in the penalty kill and power play. That was their bread and butter in the postseason last year, and I don't expect it to change. But you just never know. There's a huge chance that a team I never named throughout this talk ends up winning a division or going far in the playoffs. That's just what makes hockey so great. You just need to expect the unexpected. That'll do it for me. Thank you very much, Tyler, for letting me talk some hockey on Press Box today.
Thank you so much, TJ. When we return, the Red River Showdown isn't the only war that's scheduled for Saturday, and if last week taught us anything, October 12th just may be the best day of college football this season. Robert Gonsoulin tells us why when we return on College Press Box.
Welcome back to College Press Box. October 12th has been circled on the college football calendar for over a few months now. We find out just why with Robert Gonsoulin. Robert, take it away.
Thanks, Perla. It's always great to be on College Press Box talking about my favorite sport, college football. And for all my fellow fans out there, this weekend is nothing short of awesome when it comes to great matchups. On the season's calendar, it is now Week 7, but only the 6th game for many teams as they are either coming off of a bye or have already had one. So, with that being said, if you don't want to miss any of the big action coming up on Saturday, don't be worried because I'm going to preview every major matchup from a great weekend in college football. After our 11 a.m. slate of games, we have our already mentioned Texas-Oklahoma matchup, the Red River rivalry. I won't get too deep into this one as Zach already talked about it earlier, but I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight it. With Alabama's loss to Vanderbilt, Texas heads into this game ranked number 1 once again. Heisman candidate Quinn Ewers is expected to return for the Longhorns in his first game back from an injury after suffering an abdominal strain against UTSA a month ago. Oklahoma comes into the game having won last year's matchup with a go-ahead touchdown from Dylan Gabriel to Nick Anderson in the final minute. This year, the Sooners will enter the game ranked 18th in the nation with freshman quarterback Michael Hawkins Jr. starting after some quarterback troubles with Jackson Arnold earlier this season. Don't let this fool you, nor the rankings. In the last 9 of their 10 matchups played at Cotton Bowl Stadium, the score has been decided by at the most 8 points or fewer. The only time where it wasn't was when Quinn Ewers returned from injury 2 years ago and helped beat the Sooners by a score of 49-0. Needless to say, however, this matchup, along with its in-game traditions from the fans, the Texas State Fair, and overall neutral site location makes for one of the best rivalries you want to be tuning in for at 2:30. Next on the slate, if you're a person who likes to have a second TV playing on game days, then the next matchup for you is also perfect for this. Also beginning at this same exact time is 4th-ranked Penn State taking on USC in Los Angeles. While the Trojans are currently spotless in the AP poll, this is the only time they have been unranked all season. And yes, even though they have lost 2 of their last 3 games, people forget that this team has only played 2 home games so far, both of which they have won, and that their 2 losses have only been decided by a combined deficit of only 10 points. Playing in the right environment, USC still has the potential to play as the top 15 caliber team they used to be ranked as, especially when they'll be at home. Meanwhile, Penn State is already off to a great start this season. They're currently 2-0 in Big Ten play and won their big rivalry game, the Backyard Brawl, against West Virginia on the road back in Week 1. 2 weeks ago, they defeated 19th-ranked Illinois by 2 scores. This team is coming off of 4 straight home games, so they have a lot of momentum riding on them. However, their matchup at USC on the road this weekend will be a true test to see how legit they are, and for the fans, will be an exciting conference realignment clash between 2 storied programs. Fast forwarding to 6 o'clock, the Florida Gators will be heading up to Rocky Top to take on 8th-ranked Tennessee. While the Gators have struggled with a tough schedule this season, they're coming off of 2 straight wins and are wanting to have their comeback game after losing to Miami and Texas A&M. Tennessee, on the other hand, is coming off of a loss to Arkansas. So if there's a right time for the Gators to strike them, it's proved to be now. Tennessee still has also proven themselves to be a dangerous team in college football this year. Nico Iamaleava has already accounted for over 1,000 yards this season and has a completion percentage of over 66. Plus, regardless of how high or low these teams are ranked, who doesn't love a good SEC rivalry? This matchup comes straight out of the now defunct SEC East. 30 minutes after the start of the Florida-Tennessee game, we'll move over to Death Valley for a toss-up of a game, Ole Miss versus LSU, also known as the Magnolia Bowl, which is what I found out today. Ole Miss is coming off hot from a win over South Carolina in Columbia. Starting quarterback Jackson Dart is second in college football's passing yards leaders right now with exactly 2,100 yards. Besides the loss to Kentucky, Ole Miss is proving to be a dominant team every week and one that should be more respected. However, whoever said it would be easy for a team to play LSU on the road clearly hasn't seen LSU play at home before. The Tigers dropped a neutral site game to USC early in the season, but have been working their way back up in the polls ever since. Garrett Nussmeier has proven to be their man under center after having patiently waited as a backup for 3 years. Another long-time conference rivalry ahead of us. Ole Miss LSU will come out of the now defunct SEC West. And finally, we have arguably the best game on the slate so far in what is probably the most exciting week of the season. Oregon versus Ohio State. This game will be number 2 versus number 3 ranked Oregon, with the second ranked Buckeyes traveling on the road to play them in Eugene. Some could say that this matchup is as evenly stacked as possible. 2 very significant games come to mind when I think of this matchup. Their 2021 game where Oregon beat OSU in Columbus 35-28, and the 2015 CFP National Championship game where the Buckeyes defeated Oregon 42-20. While there hasn't been nearly as many matchups between these two teams as most of other college football's other rivalries, there is still some great history to this particular matchup. This weekend's matchup will be the first time the two teams are playing each other in a conference game as Big Ten opponents. Will Howard and Dylan Gabriel both come in as the 2 starting quarterbacks in this game, both of whom were Big 12 quarterbacks last season. For Ohio State, watch out for players like Quinshon Judkins at running back and Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver. For Oregon, look out for Tez Johnson at receiver, who has recorded over 550 yards this season. Like the Penn State-USC game, this is a new matchup that has come out of conference realignment that we have been eagerly waiting for. So regardless of who wins, the AP Top 5 will be shaken up no matter what. To say this weekend in college football is an exciting one to look forward to is an absolute understatement. We have seen storied rivalries being played, and we also have new conference matchups kicking off. Whether you'll have to go out to a sports bar and get access to multiple TVs or grab your phone and set it right beside the TV you have at home, you want to find ways to catch all these games because they'll be overlapping. College football is already unexpectedly gave us a great weekend this past Saturday, and it looks like we're in store for another one in this upcoming one. I don't know about you, Perla, but I just can't wait to see how close some of these matchups may end up being.
I definitely will make sure to tune in some of those action-packed games. I am excited to see what happens. Thanks, Robert. When we return to College Press Box, we'll take a look at this past week in Longhorn sports and look forward on the athletic calendar. Stick around with us on College Press Box.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Let's take a look at this past week in Longhorn sports. Seventh-ranked Texas women's volleyball defeated South Carolina in their SEC home opener on Wednesday, sweeping the Gamecocks 3-0. Jenna Wennis led in kills with 11, and Mariana Singletary led in blocks, tallying 8. UT Volleyball also played a top 25 match against 18th-ranked Florida on Sunday, sweeping again in a huge 3-0 victory where Madison Skinner led in kills with 12, and Singletary once again led blocks with 10.
The number 11 Texas men's golf team posted a 1-over-par 281 on Tuesday to finish in second place at the Ben Hogan Collegiate Invitational, behind Oklahoma. During the Tuesday's final round, the Longhorns counted scores from Justin, Christian, Moss, and Tommy Morrison, who all had 1 under 69. Freshman Daniel Bennett 1 over 71, and sophomore Jack Gilbert 2 over 72. Bennett also carded a 54-hole total of 3 under 205 to tie for the third on the individual leaderboard. The Longhorns finished 4 strokes behind the Sooners at 6 under 834.
At the men's tennis Big 12 SEC Challenge, the Horns showed up big, winning 2 doubles and 2 singles matches on Friday, 4 singles and 1 doubles match on Saturday, and 1 doubles and 3 singles matches on Sunday, the final day of play. UT's own Timo Legoux was named the MVP of the challenge after getting a 6-0 record in singles and doubles. The Horns took home a 13-5 record, tied with Baylor for the best at the challenge. Now, let's take a look at this week in Longhorn sports. On Thursday, October 10th, UT women's soccer plays Oklahoma at 8 p.m. on the SEC network. On Saturday, October 12th, UT football plays Oklahoma at 2:30 on ABC. And on Sunday, October 13th, UT volleyball plays Kentucky at 12 p.m. on ESPN. And soccer plays LSU 1 p.m. on SEC Network Plus.
And that will conclude this week's edition of College Press Box. Please make sure to tune in our other shows this week, including College Crossfires on Wednesdays airing at 9 p.m. and the 1-0 Sports Shows on Friday now at 11 a.m. Thank you to our analysts, everyone in Master Control, our executive producer Joseph Duffy, and everyone else at TSTV Sports. I'm Perla Paredes, he's Tyler Strempel. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.